If you haven't watched the previous two videos in this playlist, do so now, as this is the continuation of those videos. The link is in the description. Let's begin. We begin on the island of Cyprus, where the king of Salamis' brother, Onicelas, had wanted to join the Ionian Rebellion, but the king refused. So when the king had gone outside the city walls, Onicelas closed the gates on him and captured and usurped his brother's throne. He sought to bring about the revolt on the entire island, not just his kingdom. Only the kingdom of Amathus didn't join, so Onicelas laid siege to Amathus. While he was besieging the city, word came to Onicelas that a Persian commander by the name of Aristagoras was on his way with an armament. Onicelas sent heralds to the Ionians, requesting aid, which the Ionians granted in great force. They arrived at the same time as the Persians, whom were supported by a Phoenician fleet. The Persians proceeded to attack Salamis by land, while the Phoenicians sailed around. The princes of Cyprus called together all the captains of the Ionians and asked if they would rather fight the Persians whom were attacking by land, or the Phoenicians whom were attacking by sea, and the Cyprians would attack the other. The Ionians responded that they would attack the Phoenician navy at sea, and the Cyprians attacked the Persian army. On the sea, the Ionians easily defeated the Phoenician navy fleet. Meanwhile, the Cyprians and the Persians were engaged in battle, and so was King Onicelas and the Persian general Aristagoras. Aristagoras charged down on his horse towards Onicelas, and Onicelas severed both his legs and killed the general. Unfortunately for the Cyprians, two of the kingdoms of Cyprus defected to the Persians, which crippled the Cyprians and ultimately led to the Persian victory. The Cyprian army was routed, and many of them slain, including Onicelas the king. The Amathusians cut the head off Onicelas' corpse because he laid siege to their city, and they displayed it over the gates, where it became a honeycomb. The Ionians left Cyprus and sailed home, while the Persians continued to lay siege to all the cities of Cyprus until they surrendered, which took 5 months. Meanwhile, each of King Darius' sons-in-law, by the names of Darius, Histiaeus, and Otanes, divided their army into 3 to take and sack each of the rebel cities. The first army, led by Darius, attacked the towns by the Hellespont, including Dardanus, Abydos, Percote, Lampsacus, and Pedasus. From Pedasus he marched against Parium, but on his way he received news that the Carians had joined the rebellion, and he proceeded to march towards Caria. The Carians got word of this movement, and drew together their strength to a place called the White Columns near the Marsyas River, a tributary to the Meander. There they devised many plans. One plan was that the Carians should cross the Meander and fight with the river at their back. The Carians would be forced to stand their ground so they could build up their courage and bravery. This plan would force all the Carians to fight, and no one could run. That plan was discarded, and the new plan was the opposite. The enemy would have the Meander at their back, and they could be driven into the river. The Persians soon arrived and crossed the Meander and engaged the Carians at the Battle of the Marsyas. The battle was evenly fought, until at last the Carians were defeated by the Persians' superior numbers. The Persians lost only 2,000 men, while the Carians had lost 10,000. The Carians that escaped from the battle deliberated whether they would fare better if they surrendered to the Persians, or if they abandoned their home. As they were debating, a large force of Malicians came to their assistance, and the Carians were ready for war once again. The Persians had approached, and with it began the Battle of Labraunda, and the Carians were once again quickly defeated, and suffered greater loss, especially the Malicians. The Carians wanted to keep on fighting because Darius would destroy their cities anyway, so they laid an ambush on the road which leads to Pedasus, and during the night the Persians fell into the trap, and their entire army was defeated, including the general Darius. Meanwhile, the second Persian army, led by Histiaeus, took the cities towards the Propontis, including Cius. He learned that Darius had left the Hellespont to go to Caria, so he went to the Hellespont and took the Aeolians and the Gergithae, but died after falling ill. The third army, led by Otanes and Artaphernes, conducted the war against Ionia and Aeolus. As the cities fell one after another, Aristagoras saw that he was in danger and looked for a means of escape. He called his brothers in arms, where he asked if he should flee to Sardinia or Macleod in Edonia, which Histiaeus had received as a gift from King Darius, as well as being a royal table companion. They responded neither, but he was bent on retiring to Marsyas, and he put the government of Miletus into one of his chief citizens' hands, and sailed to Marsyas in Thrace. It was there he died while besieging a city that wanted to surrender. Aristagoras was the one man who gave the revolt a sense of purpose, and his death left the revolt leaderless. Meanwhile, Histiaeus, who had been allowed by King Darius to leave, traveled to Sardis, where he was asked by Artaphernes the reason the Ionians had rebelled. He gave the same answer he gave to King Darius, and Artaphernes saw right through his lies and responded, "I will tell thee how the case stands, Histiaeus. This shoe is of thy stitching. Aristagoras has but put it on." Histiaeus was alarmed, and as soon as night fell, he fled away to the coast, then to Chios, and forfeited his word to King Darius. The people in Chios captured him, thinking he was working for the king, and deduced that Histiaeus was a foe to the king, and freed him. Histiaeus was asked by the Ionians why he had urged Aristagoras to revolt from the king. The real reason was because he didn't want to be a royal table companion, but that would be a dumb reason for them, so he made a reason up. He responded that King Darius intended to move the Phoenicians from their country and place them in Ionia, and put the Ionians in Phoenicia. Histiaeus had succeeded in arousing the fears of the Ionians. He crossed over to Mytilene, where he succeeded in obtaining 8 triremes and a squad of soldiers from the Lesbians. They sailed to the Hellespont and proceeded to seize all the vessels which passed through. We will learn what happens next in the next episode. Thank you all for watching.